Okay, everyone, we're about 45 minutes from Essouira, from Mogadur. So at this time, I just want to let everybody know that Reb Chaim Pinto, among many of his wondrous feats, he was an expert in kvitzas hadarach. He was melumad b'kvitzas hadarach. He would be able to take people with him to Mogadur very quickly, which is why we're experiencing such a quick ride. Okay, friends, at this time I want to give you a little bit of a background of the illustrious Pinto family. The illustrious Pinto family. By the way, today in Marrakesh, there was the kever of Rabbeinu Yaakov Pinto. Rabbeinu Yaakov Pinto was one of the Chachmei Marrakesh. Rabbi Yaakov Pinto was one of the authors of Mikdash Melech on the Zohar HaKadosh. And he was the brother of Reb Shlomo Pinto, who's the father of Reb Chaim Hagadol Pinto. So here we go. Everyone's going to be tested on this afterwards, the history of Reb Chaim Pinto. And if anyone answers the questions, maybe they'll be eligible for a strawberry snack. Strawberries brought to you by Oneg Select, soft and chewy, natural. Okay, so here we go. One of the most illustrious and splendorous families in all of Moroccan history, hailed from Rav Shri Gaon. They escaped Portugal in the year 1500, 8 years after the expulsion. They changed their name from a classic Jewish name to a Spanish name. They called themselves Pinto, because they came from the city Pinto in Spain. Pinto means a picture or beautiful. And those members of the Pinto family that made their way to Muslim countries, they dropped the D and they became known only as Pinto. The first of the Pinto family were two brothers, Rav Shaul and Rav Yosef. We're going to first talk about Rav Yosef, because Reb Chaim Pinto was from Rav Shaul. Rav Yosef was the father of Rabbi Yeshayahu Pinto, not to be confused with the current chief rabbi of Morocco. He's the father of Rabbi Yeshayahu Pinto, who Rabbi Yeshayahu Pinto had slicha from Rabbi Yaakov Abulafia. Rabbi Yeshayahu Pinto wrote an important work on the Ein Yaakov. Daniel Harris, do you know what work that was? The Ein Yaakov. It's called Harif. Harav Yeshayahu Pinto. In any Ein Yaakov, you have the Marsha, and you have Harif, Harav Yeshayahu Pinto. Rabbi Yeshayahu Pinto was Mevatel Avodah Zarah from the world. I can't get into how. It's not yet midnight, it's only 11:25, so I'm not going to explain how he was Mevatel Avodah Zarah from the world, but he was. Just take my word for it. He was also the Mechutin of Reb Chaim Vital. And after Reb Chaim Vital passed away in the year 1520, in the year Shin Pei, that's 1620, in the year 1620, Reb Yeshayahu Pinto became the chief rabbi of Damascus. And he was nifter on the 23rd day of Adar in the year 1648. Now, I'm going to, that was Rabbi Yeshayahu Pinto. You got it? He's a very important achroin, a kadmoin, if you will. Now, Rav Shaul Pinto, the brother of Yosef, had a son, Rav Ruvain. He had a grandson, Rav Ruvain. Rav Ruvain had many banim tzadikim. Most notably, Shlomo Pinto and Rabbeinu Yaakov Pinto. Okay? Rabbeinu Yaakov Pinto was one of the authors of the Mikdash Melech, together with Rav Shalom Buzgalu. Rav Shalom Buzgalu is buried in Queen Mary University in London. I was able to be at his kever. You know who else is buried at Queen Mary University? Rabbi David Nieto and Rabbi Rafael Moldula. One time you need to go there, I was there many times. Rabbi David Nieto, Harav Hagoyin Rav Nachai Zagobaum once gave a tish on Rav David Nieto. Also buried there is the Chupas Chasanim, Rabbi Rafael Moldula. This is the partner of Rav Yaakov Baldulo, Rav Yaakov Pinto. Rav Yaakov had a brother. By the way, the Munkatcher said no, Reb Sham Bas Gula was buried in Tzfas. Well, we'll leave that for a different occasion. Reb Yaakov is buried in the ancient cemetery in Marrakesh. We were there today. Reb Yaakov Pinto is buried in Marrakesh. He's one of the authors of the Mikdash Melech. His brother was Rabbeinu Shlomo Pinto. He's the father of Rabbeinu Chaim Pinto Hagadol, who we're going to go to his kever today. So again, the family starts with two brothers, Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Shaul. Rabbi Shaul is the father of Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef is the grandfather of Rabbi Ruvain. Rabbi Ruvain is the father of Yaakov and Shlomo. Yaakov is the author of Mikdash Melech. Shlomo is the father of Rabbeinu Chaim Pinto. Rabbi Shlomo Pinto, the father of Rabbeinu Chaim, was buried in the fishing town of Agadir, next to his brother-in-law and friend Rav Khalifa ben Malka. However, because of many catastrophes, including the earthquake of 1960, therefore some family members took the bones of Rav Shlomo Pinto, the father of Chaim Pinto Hagadol, and they brought it to Eretz Yisrael. So currently Rav Shlomo Pinto is allegedly buried in Eretz Yisrael in Kiryat Malachi, where some claim that Reb Chaim Vital's bones were also moved there, and that's a discussion for another time. Now, Reb Shlomo Pinto lost his first wife. His oldest son was Yehuda Pinto. Then he married a woman from the Benavishti family of Marrakesh, and he had the great tzaddik Reb Chaim Pinto. Some say that Rabbi Yehuda Pinto was born while his father was in Eretz Yisrael, and he's buried in Har HaZeisim next to the Archaim HaKadosh. Some say Rabbi Yehuda Pinto was buried in Tzfas, was born when his father was living in Tzfas, and then Rabbi Shlomo Pinto was called by Rabbi Khalifa ben Malka, and he asked him to come to Morocco, where he married Rabbi Khalifa ben Malka's sister and his second wife, and from her was born Rabbi Chaim Pinto. So Rabbi Chaim Pinto was born in Agadir, which is a fishing town we're not going to have a chance to go to tonight. However, we're going to go to the city where Rabbi Chaim Pinto was a great Rav, Mekubal, Meluban, Melumad B'Nisim, including Kfitzas Hadarach, and at the kever we're going to speak more about the greatness of Rabbeinu Chaim Pinto Hagadol Zechusa Yagein Olinu.